Hey guys, and today I just wanted to talk about the movie Scream. This film was written by Kevin Williamson, and it was directed by Wes Craven, and it's pretty much about, well, it has one of the best opening scenes to a horror film. It follows this girl, she's just about to watch a movie, and her phone rings. But, the person on the other line, she thinks it's a frickin', wrong number. She hangs up. But then the guy on the other line just keeps calling her back. And, she's, starting to talk to him a little bit. And he starts to ask her what's her favorite movie. She brings up Halloween. And, all of a sudden, she's like, talking to him. And he's like on the other line, "Tell me your name and I'll tell you mine." And she's like, "Why do you want to know my name?" And then he fucks up and he's like, "I want to know who I'm looking at." That really scares her. She thinks it's a joke. She hangs up on him again. And then he's like, "If you hang up on me again, I'll gut you like a fish. Understand? Blondie?" So she hangs up. She starts running through the house and shit. The doorbell rings. She's like, "Who's there?" And that's like a bad, for horror movies. You never ask who's there. And he calls back and he says that. And he's like, "Don't you watch scary movies? That's a death wish." So he starts asking her questions, about horror movies. And if she gets it right, she'll live. And her boyfriend will live too. But, this is the movie that taught me that, Jason Voorhees' mom was the killer in Friday the 13th Part 1, because, when Scream came out, I've seen Halloween, I've seen Friday the 13th, but I've only seen the ones with Jason, when I was little. It took me an adult to actually watch, the first Friday the 13th film. Great movie. I reviewed it. I reviewed all the movies. You can go back and watch those, but, yeah, Scream was the one that taught me that Mother Voorhees was the killer in the original Friday the 13th film. She gets that question wrong, and her boyfriend dies, and she has another question left, and he's like, "Which door am I at?" And she's like, "I won't answer this, leave me alone." And he's like, "That's your call." So he throws a chair through the fucking door, starts chasing her all over the house, finally catches up to her, kills her. Her parents come home, find her hanging from a tree, and that's the opening scene of the fucking movie. Wow. Great fucking opening scene. Drew Barrymore is amazing in it. Then it focuses on the character of Sidney Prescott, played by Neve Campbell. And her mother was killed a year ago, but now all the murders start to happen again around her. Just like, the girl Casey, she died, her boyfriend died, and it was a year ago. So she starts to think that there's some kind of connection. She has a boyfriend that's like fucking begging her for sex. Everybody starts to think at first that her boyfriend's the killer, but we don't know who's the killer. The whole time we're guessing who the killer is. And yeah, that's pretty much what it's about. The killer, he wears like a ghost face, like hood type mask or whatever, or like costume. And like I remember seeing these costumes, like in stores and shit when I was little. So like it kind of gives you that real factor that, this can be anybody, because even in the movie it kind of says like this can be anybody. This costume is sold in stores everywhere, so that's cool that I actually knew about this costume before I actually saw the movie. I wouldn't say Ghostface is scary, though. That's not the point of this movie. I don't know, I just love it, though. Like, I really love this movie. It's definitely one of my favorite horror films. You kind of know who the killer is the whole movie. Well, because it kind of points it out, like, right away. Like, okay, Stu's the killer. But it kind of, like, throws you off through the whole movie. Okay, you think Stu's the killer at first, then you're like, okay, he's not the killer, but then he is the killer. Then then he's not the killer. It's like it does a good job with saying if he's the killer or not. And Stu, I thought him being the killer was the most shocking, most twisted, because I didn't see that coming at all. I mean, this really did redefine horror films. Uh, you know, it mentions horror movies. Every kid in the movie is a fan of horror films, so like when you're watching this movie, it just feels like you're one of these kids, sort of. And these killers take it to the next level of their love for horror movies so much that they, kill for it. Well, Billy's motives were, he loved horror films, and the fact that, his mom left because Sidney's mom was fucking, his father. And that's what caused his mom to leave. And, like I said, I think it really does show, taking your love for horror films way too far. They, use horror movies to get away with murder, basically. They take notes. Definitely my favorite kill in this movie would be, when that chick, fucking tries to escape the cat door on the fucking, the car thing, the fucking door that lifts up, the garage door, and the fucking, Ghostface turns the switch on and you see her face just smash. That shit was badass. A lot of great kills, great acting in my opinion. There's actually some funny scenes too, like with Stu, when he's like, "You hit me with the phone, you dick." But it's also scary at the same time. Like I said, I don't think the costume of Ghostface is scary. But the fact that this killer can be anybody, is kind of what makes it scary. And it also keeps you at the edge of your seat, guessing who the killer is. It's definitely one of my favorite horror films of all time, like I said. And, yeah, I really, really love this film. Let me know what you guys think of the first Scream film. I'll be reviewing Scream 2 coming soon. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say. Thanks for listening. And, peace, subscribe, thanks.